Hey, Ben, so I wanted to ask you a question. You said earlier that a lot of Democrats are uncomfortable looking at pictures of children that are being aborted. Yeah, I would say that you and many other Republicans would feel equally uncomfortable looking at pictures of Sandy Hook victims who were shot. How can you honestly stand up here and say that you support abortion, you support government intervention, you support government intervention to make abortion illegal, which is designed to kill someone, and yet you can stand up here and say you don't want government intervention for guns, which are also designed to kill people?
Because guns are not designed to kill children. Guns are designed to kill bad guys if operated by a proper person. There's not an abortion in the world that doesn't end with the death of a baby. Honestly, the reason, I have no problem with looking at the pictures of gun violence victims, other than the problems any other human being, left or right, would have with looking at those pictures, which is that they're horrific and deeply disturbing and very upsetting. But I don't feel any sense of guilt or avoidance. Like, I can't look at this picture because I bear some sort of responsibility for this. It is impossible not to look at a picture of an aborted baby and say this was disconnected from the act that I approve, because the act is the killing of the baby. There's no policy that I approve of that ends with the murder of children. Okay? There is a policy that is designed for the murder of children, which is what abortion is. Yeah, that's fine. You can have a quick follow-up. That's fine, sir.
Okay, so but if all people, right, you said that once the cells come together, you said those are considered people, which I can understand. I can get behind
I said that's considered a human life.
A human life, right.
Yes.
Why is this human life being killed and another human life being killed by gun violence? Why is that any different?
Again, it's not a matter of the value of the human life being different. It's equally as evil and tragic and horrific and disgusting when people kill fully formed children who are outside the womb. My point is that the act that connects to the killing of the children is not connected to my position on guns. The act that connects to the killing of unborn babies is connected to the legalization of abortion. The reason that I want people to be able to exercise their Second Amendment rights is to shoot pieces of like the people who go into schools and shoot up children. Right? I have two kids. They both go to a Jewish school, which means they are on the target list for somebody out there. Right? Jewish schools are disproportionately targeted, unfortunately, in the United States. I went to a Jewish school when I was in high school. There were bomb threats legitimately every couple of months. In 1999, there was a white supremacist who drove by our Jewish day school, saw an armed guard outside, proceeded to drive away, went to the West Valley JCC, and shot up the West Valley JCC. The reason that I'm in favor of gun rights is because I want that armed guard outside carrying the gun to dissuade people from going inside the school and shooting the kid. I'm not in favor of...
Bill Gates is apparently fed up with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. As well he should be, because her proposals are silly, they are backwards, they are asinine, they are counterproductive. Even Bill Gates, who's a very left-leaning dude, a career Democrat, he says that AOC is missing the big picture, that she just doesn't get it.
What do you make of the notion that our government should work harder? That the idea that we should just tax folks like you at a 70% marginal tax rate, and that money should be used to build infrastructure and services like this?
Certainly the idea of the government being more effective in terms of how it runs education or social programs, there's a lot of opportunity for improvement there. We can be more progressive. The estate tax and the tax on capital, the way the FICA Social Security tax works, we can be more progressive without really threatening the income generation.
So you're not like an adherent of like modern monetary theory that says, don't worry about the deficit, we'll just print the money and do it.
That is some crazy talk.
It's certainly out there. It's gaining currency.
Well, that's crazy. It will come and bite you. That is the people you owe the money to, you will have a problem.
Well, Bill Gates, who knows something about money generation and generating jobs, and is a career Democrat, is coming out and saying the new Democratic Party is out of its mind. He will be cast out with scorn and hatred within the next 5 years. The Democratic Party has just moved too far to the left.
Hey, Ben. I've been waiting for a long time. I've kind
So
of
have I,
pondered...
for this moment.
Yeah. I've kind of pondered how to ask this, but how does your view of transgender issues work when scientific anti-realism as a concept exists?
You're going to have to explain that one.
All right, so scientific anti-realism is the concept that when you see me, you see, my skin, my hands, everything about me, but you do not see my cells, you do not see my atoms. You do not see the things that make up the things. They are just physical. So there is no really true way to prove, other than by hitting me, obviously, that I am right here, if it is only us two talking. So therefore, this would apply to any gendering things, including intersex, which can have an XX or XY chromosome and have androgen or estrogen insensitivity. So
I just need you to narrow this down. Is
yeah,
the argument
what
that
I'm
things
trying,
that we don't understand the nature of things because we don't have microscopes, and therefore we can't determine sex?
I would like to narrow it down to we cannot fully identify a gender of a person right when we see them, so therefore I believe that it is not within my own individual liberty to gender that person.
Here's my problem with that particular argument. The answer is that in 99.8%, 99.9% of cases, you absolutely can gender somebody based on looking at them. Like, really. If you're going to use intersex people as an example of not being able to do that, this does not obviate the biological duality of sex upon which all progeneration is based for all of human history and for all mammalian species. So intersex people do not invalidate the concept of sex as a generality. Intersex people are people who have a biological anomaly. And by the way, in most cases of intersex, those people still manifest as either a male or a female. So the idea that intersex exists does not invalidate the idea that there is a male and that there is a female, or that in nearly all cases, I can tell the difference between a male and a female. Again, I'm not saying, by the way, that if you can show me your chromosomal charts that you are actually not a male, when I say that you're a male, that I should stick with that biological objective standard. Like my perception of you, in other words, is subject to my correct enunciation of an objective standard. So the objective standard, here's the deal. For all of human history, there was an objective standard between male and female. It was, for nearly all of human history, out of partial ignorance and partially because this is usually true, it was out of simply looking at people's genitals and assessing them based on their outward appearance, right? Which is still true for nearly all human beings on planet Earth at all times. Okay. What was that?
You can't really describe someone without secondary sex characteristics and gender them into something.
Well, I mean, you can based on primary sex characteristics if you can see their genitals. Doctors do this literally at birth all the time, right? So this is but your point is correct. If somebody was male dressed as a female and I misgendered them and then they said, "Oh, look, I'm male," zip, right? Then I would say correct, and then correct. I would say, for all of human history, you were male. Now the standard is chromosomal. Right? It's the SRNY gene and all of this. There is some objective standard, in other words, by which we can determine sex. The problem I have with the transgender argument is that people are arguing that there is no objective standard, that no objective standard exists by which I can determine sex. And in fact, sex is completely subjective. I can determine my own gender based on no biology and, in fact, in abeyance of biology. I can have every single biological characteristic of a male, and if I say I am female, then I am female. This is anti-scientific nonsense. Yes, Caitlyn Jenner had every biological characteristic of a male. There is no evidence whatsoever that Caitlyn Jenner was a female, because Caitlyn Jenner was an Olympic athlete as a male with all of the chromosomes and all of the junk and all of it. Right? That is it. That is a biological male. And then we are supposed to believe that Caitlyn Jenner is a female. Listen, I'm happy to call Caitlyn Jenner Caitlyn because people can legally change their name. If I were out to dinner with Caitlyn Jenner, I wouldn't go out of my way to say Caitlyn Jenner is a he, because why would I want to have a bad dinner with somebody? But if I'm speaking in public with folks and I'm talking about the presence of sex, there is not a biologist worth their salt on planet Earth who would say that sex does not exist. Yeah, I agree. So if sex exists, then what are the characteristics of sex? And the problem with biological anti-realism or scientific anti-realism, as you're suggesting, is that there is no actual standard of sex, that it's completely malleable. It's okay. Sorry, do you have a quick response? I don't want to cut you off.
I'm not saying that sex is malleable. I'm saying there is male and female biologically. That is true, yes.
Right.
But I'm saying that gender is a spectrum. I'm saying that there is at least male, female, and non-binary because of this strange.
And what I'm saying is that there's a word game that goes on when people discuss gender. Because if we are talking about certain characteristics to which we attribute to masculine or feminine, if you want to say that there's a genetic male with feminine characteristics, we're fine. That's a male with feminine characteristics. Fine. That's fine. I mean, okay. So you're a man with feminine characteristics. That's cool. Who cares? Okay, but that doesn't make you a woman. In other words, if you're going, what we are now doing is we're playing a semantic game where we say a male with feminine characteristics is a woman. That's nonsense. Or a woman with male characteristics, masculine characteristics, is a man. That's nonsense too. And by the way, it actually ends up misgendering a lot of people who are just butch women or effeminate men. Right? So all of this, so in other words, by trying to separate out gender and sex completely, and then by using terms like male and female or woman and man that are innately connected to sex, what you are doing is deliberately, not you, what people are doing is deliberately confusing the issue such that you get idiocies like Ilhan Omar writing to the Powerlifting Association of the USA saying that a transgender woman who is a biological male should be able to compete against biological women because it is a myth that men can pick up heavier objects than women. That is not a myth. That's called science. Thank you.